everybody. We're back with the SilmFilm script discussion, season 3, episode 1, part 3. It's been awesome. So far, we have gotten probably about 10 minutes into this episode, which, considering that it only took us 40 minutes to do so, bodes extremely well. So during the break, we had a couple of questions come up. By the way, just so you know, I did make an attempt to fix this nonsense going on. My tablet is not cooperating with me today, so that's excellent. I will make sure next time to have it fully charged and ready to go. So that's my bad. But anyway, so a couple of questions came up during the break. One being what Sauron is doing that is disappointing Melkor. And the other being, is Thangorodrim going to be part of the mix in this episode? And yes, it must. Thank you, Richel, because if you hadn't said that, we likely would have forgotten.
Probably, yeah. Because it's
So,
more set-based than plot-based, so
right.
easy to forget.
So one thing that I would like to say about that is it's possible that one of the reasons why Melkor isn't thrilled about the development of the Dark Elves, that Sauron has warped to his will, is that that's not the labor force that he needs.
Yeah, it's not useful enough.
Right.
And the whole way that happened was Melkor kind of gave Sauron the instruction to capture some elves and do something with them, but
yeah,
Melkor himself was made captive right away, so he was never involved in figuring out how it should be. So that's why they're not on the same page, is that Sauron had to create the project on his own.
Right.
Melkor also comes back very angry.
Yes.
And he wants to lash out at, take his anger out on these little creatures that Sauron's been playing with. And while Sauron has been experimenting on them and doing things that are like brainwashing and manipulating them, which is, an unpleasant prisoner of war experience, it wasn't sadistic.
Right.
It was more calculated.
Yes.
And once Morgoth gets a hold of him, he would like to take some sadistic pleasure in destroying him.
Sometimes I would like to take sadistic pleasure in destroying something.
It's a totally normal experience, right?
Like you do,
yes.
So additionally, so the thing that Melkor is not super excited about is the fact that Sauron has been working on the super secret orc project for a while now, but instead of making orcs, he's just made kind of elvish worshippers of evil people like himself and Melkor.
Fallen elves is what he's made.
Right. Yes.
And which is something, but it's not a vast army. It's a small group. It's the same group he started with. He hasn't bred them yet.
Well, they may have had a generation or two. Right.
Yeah. The orcs are going to breed like rabbits.
Right. It's not the same thing as what we're going to be getting in orcs. Yeah. So basically, Melkor is going to be saying, look, there is this building project that I want to work on, and Sauron's is basically gonna be like all over that, because he's like, building,
it's like the lamps all over again.
Let's do it. He's gonna be in on that, and Melkor is gonna be saying, no, here's the problem, that what you've done here, like, it's cool, but it's not really, like, this isn't what I need, so I'm gonna be taking over this. Okay. So I'm gonna have to find something else for you to be doing. So we should be seeing Fangorodrim starting to rise. I don't think we're going to be getting there yet if we don't have works yet.
The purpose of Fangorodrim is to be defensive, right?
Well, here's the thing, is that Angband itself is relatively defensive because it's really hard to get down through.
It's an underground dungeon barricade, fallout shelter, however you want to view it. Like, it's pretty defended, but
right.
The question is, why do you put 3 giant mountains on top of it?
Defiance.
Right. So
that's really the reason, is that he's like, before Angband was a secret location.
Yeah. That, I was
and
Melkor's you lose the
throwing
secrecy
that right
as
out the
soon as you
window.
put up Fangorodrim.
Right. So he's basically saying, you know, forget you people, I'm throwing these things up. You know, he wants to have a giant landmark to the sky with his name on it, and you know.
Yeah.
So he's doing that again.
Okay. So this is his attempt to turn Angband into a Tumno.
Yes. It can't ever really be a Tumno because
it's never going to be beautiful the way a Tumno was.
Right.
But it's going to be grandiose the way a Tumno was once you put up Fangorodrim.
Well, part of this is going to be that he's wasting a lot of his creative guys. Like, he's turning a lot of the mire that followed him, that helped him build a Tumno, into like his private monster collection.
Yes.
And so that's part of his problem. You know, when he built Fangorodrim, when he built a Tumno into the palace that it became, he had all the Balrogs in their angelic form.
Right.
And he had all of the other mire that followed him from Almaran. You know, so he has all these people that help him build a Tumno, and none of them are really capable of doing that anymore. Right, because he's putting them into these other
forms.
Right. You know, he's setting up, so now we have werewolves, and like, those people are not capable of building things anymore. You know, we have all these other creatures that are being created, and they're not capable of doing what they were doing before. Melkor is not capable of doing what he was doing before.
Yes, but in his case, he still has a lot of his native power.
He does, but he's lost a lot of his finesse.
Yes. His anger, more than anything, is what's taking the edge off of his ability to do something like that. Right. So it's not that he lost he didn't lose the power yet. I mean, he eventually is going to squander his power too. Right. But at this point, he's just lost the ability to concentrate on something that would be beautiful.
Right. And he doesn't. He doesn't really care about the aesthetics as much anymore. Right. It's not. You know.
Right. His own viewpoint has turned away from that.
Right. Like, he wants himself to be like, because he's got the Silmarils there, and like, that's great and glorious. So because he himself is now marred and uglified, he can't stand to have his surroundings look better than himself. That's probably a big part of it too. Another reason why he's not making nice things anymore.
Right. Okay. I can see that.
Because if he built a Tumno now
and then set it as the tyrant of Angband, it just doesn't. Yeah.
Right. It's not the right look, and he knows it. Okay. So he kind of chides Sauron for what he's done with the elves, with the dark elves. And he starts out on the creation of Fangorodrim.
Do we want to have like 3 Angband scenes in this episode towards the beginning and the end?
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate.
Okay, so the first one, do we want to do Fangorodrim in the first one to show the defiance and the power before we get into the details of various other projects?
Actually, that defiance thing, that might be a good note to hit when we're showing, like, right before Feanor comes to Tyrion.
Okay. Yeah. So that more the middle of the episode would
So
be
right,
that.
to
Okay.
kind of fill the arc in,
Okay.
right?
So the beginning then would be Melkor meeting the fallen elves.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
trying to figure out where to go.
Yeah. No, that's good.
And then the end could be Sauron being sent off for spider purposes if we want.
Right. Yeah. So there we go with that. All right. So we get that entrance into Act 1. Act 1 in Valinor. I kind of like the idea of starting out bringing Finway's body quietly into Lorien and laying it alongside Miriel.
Yeah, I would like to start exactly where we left off, meaning start in Formenos. And with the procession of Finway's body out to Lorien. So it seems like no time has passed since the finale.
Okay. The only thing I'd want to be careful of there is that we're not doing the same scene in different locations. Like, because it would be very easy to have a conversation
we can start quietly if you want. Like, the procession of Finway's body leaving Formenos is fine. But I want to just, if we ended in Formenos with all those characters there, I want to begin in Formenos with those characters there. It doesn't have to be the same second. Like,
right.
Like, if we ended with Feanor sitting on the throne, we don't need to start with Feanor on the throne.
Right. If we started in Formenos, I feel like we kind of have to have a conversation there. Before we get to
Lorien.
Well, in the background of with the procession going on, could we have the conversation between Fingolfin and Finarfin here?
Yeah, because obviously you would have decided where the procession's going before you left.
Right.
The procession's kind of spontaneous, but not so spontaneous that they were like just started down the road and didn't have a destination.
Right.
So clearly,
although that does feel very elvish to do.
Feanor clearly had a destination in mind.
Yes. Yes.
If they're putting Finway's body right next to Muriel's, this is Feanor's choice.
Yes.
So Finarfin and Fingolfin would be two elves who might have an opinion about that, and are like, wait a minute, why are we doing this?
Yeah. Now, refresh my memory. Did the where you lead, I will follow, that happens during the reconciliation scene in the last season, correct?
Yes. So during episode 12.
Yeah. So now Feanor, in going to Lorien, is not breaking his exile.
No.
Because he's exiled from Tyrion specifically.
Exactly.
So Fingolfin and Finarfin might be having a discussion about what they think Feanor's intentions are.
Okay.
And where that scene could go, I think, is if Finarfin asks Fingolfin, what will you do if he breaks the exile of the Valar? And Fingolfin says, right. Yeah. And Fingolfin can say, I will honor my word.
Yeah, I like this because no one's going to remember that Feanor's not supposed to be in Tyrion unless we tell them. Like, we need to explicitly say that on screen. Right. And there's no reason for Feanor to say it. So Finarfin would be the person who's thinking about this.
Yes.
Yeah, so for Finarfin to bring up that, he's still not allowed, his exile's not finished yet. He's still X years left, because it was a 12-year exile. I don't know how many years into it we are, but what are you going to do if he comes back in? And did you see what he was doing with father's crown. It looks like he's trying
Yeah.
to
Right.
edge in on your acting kingship here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because Finarfin kind of knows what happens with a Feanorian presidency.
Mm-hmm.
Like he knows what that means.
Yeah.
Do we hear from Indus at all in this scene or in Lorien? We are going to hear from her in Lorien.
Yeah.
I would really like to have her make one final attempt to get through to Feanor.
In Lorien, yeah.
In Lorien, it's not going to work. Spoiler alert. But yeah, the Sololand in tears. I just know it.
But it's important that her conversation not be a political conversation, whereas
Right.
the one we're describing between Finarfin and Fingolfin is very much a political conversation.
Yes.
Here's the rules, and here's who's going to do what, and all that. So
right. They're
I would like to separate these conversations.
Right. Yeah. This is kind of almost a discussion of succession.
Mm-hmm.
Because while it's not a hard and fast rule yet that Feanor should be taking the kingship, it's very clear that Feanor thinks that's what's going to happen, and Fingolfin has pledged himself to follow Feanor's lead.
Right.
So there really is no way around this situation.
As far as Fingolfin's concerned. Finarfin is trying to say, like, well, maybe if we can just
keep him out of Tyrion for a little bit, everything will cool off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So Finarfin has to have an angle that he's going for there.
Right.
But it's not gonna work. Yeah.
Right. Like Finarfin is almost trying to maneuver the situation politically in a way that Fingolfin is not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm not saying that Finarfin's a bad guy. I'm just saying that, you know, he sees a little bit more than Fingolfin does in this case.
Those two brothers respond to things very differently.
Right.
And Fingolfin's very much charge in head first kind of guy. Not so much Finarfin. Finarfin is much more let's think this through. What are the ramifications hundreds of years down the road?
Right.
You know, he's a big picture guy.
Right. Yeah. So when we have this conversation, Finarfin is trying to put Fingolfin in a position where he's willing to kind of compel, maybe not compel, but convince Feanor to at least go along with the exile of the Valar, and then so that this will give the situation time to cool down. And because remember, the Noldor have all lost their king.
Right. Yeah, the king's gone. And
so they're all kind of angry at this point at Melkor. Mm-hmm. And that's what Feanor is going to play on.
Yeah, he taps into that, and that's the whole point.
Right.
That there is a valid anger underlying everything.
Right. And Feanor is kind of blaming the Valar for this situation. They're behind the exile, and in his mind, if they hadn't summoned him to the feast, then he totally would have been able to protect his father from getting murdered by Melkor.
And if the Valar hadn't let Melkor out in the first place.
Yeah.
And, oh, look, Melkor is one of the Valar. Like, these are Feanor's arguments. He goes back to the root of it and says, this is your problem, guys. It's all on you. And if I don't trust Melkor, why should I trust you?
Right. And he is making valid points. Like, the points he's making are not entirely inaccurate. The stuff he accuses the Valar of, other than, because he does kind of accuse them of a certain level of maliciousness, which they don't have. But
the actual things that he says they did. They
did do those things.
Yeah.
You know, the mistakes that they make, they did make. So, so real quick, let's see if we can discuss the situation in Lorien real quick, so that we can at least get through Act 1. So if we have them bring his body in to lie next to Miriel, every one of Indus's kids should be a little uncomfortable.
Yes.
I think.
And that's
because this is
right.
going to feel a little weird.
Yes. So Muriel's body is laying out like she just fell asleep. So she looks perfectly normal. Finway's
she looks
body,
alive.
Yeah, she looks like she's sleeping.
Yeah.
Because she kind of is. She's just, the spirit.
Not there. She's just not home. Yeah.
Yeah. Finway's body is going to look more like, carried on a bier with some kind of cloth draped over it.
Right.
He looks a little bit more like a funeral procession.
Right.
Marched in here, which is what we're going for.
Right. Well, and also, like, what kid wants to see their dad laid out next to another woman that they've never met?
Right.
Like, that's gotta be weird. And I mean, Indus is gonna take this in stride because at the end of the day, that's her friend.
Yeah, she's resolved this relationship between the three of them long ago.
She gets that this was his wife and that she, like, there are elements of that relation of that situation that she doesn't have access to. Right. And she's going to try to use the situation to get close to Feanor one last time. She is trying one more time to avert what Muriel saw.
Yes.
Which is fire and death and horribleness.
So what is her message? What is her last ditch effort going to look like? Because she's obviously not going to walk up to him and be like, you should like try forgiving people. Everything happens for a reason. Like,
that's not. Yeah.
She's not going to say that. So what does she say? I mean, it's a funeral. You're talking to someone whose dad just died.
Yeah.
That's her husband who's laying there.
Right.
So they're both grieving.
Yeah. Well, I feel like she has to kind of start out from the tack of, your father loved you very dearly. And it is right that he should rest next to your mother. Like, she wants to kind of get on his side, and she wants him to feel like she understands.
Right. So it's like the graciousness and queenliness that went into the whole wedding fiasco stuff, where she was able to be magnanimous enough that he invited her to be part of his wedding.
Right. Yes.
That kind of thing. So she's going for, hey, it worked then. Let me try that.
Right.
Now. Okay.
And it doesn't work because, I feel like he doesn't even have. Do you think he even has anything to say to her?
No, I think that he is gutted, actually, during all of this. So he is not responsive. Yeah. Like, he's staring at the dead bodies of his parents. Yeah. And not saying a word. Yeah. And
so you don't feel like he has angry words to say to her. You feel like he just doesn't have anything to say to her.
Right. Which I think from a character like Feanor should be pretty significant because he always has something to say. Right. We've never seen him like actually struck speechless before. Yeah. So to have him just like shut down, we've got to know that there's a storm coming. Like when this breaks off, when he breaks out of this, it's not going to be pretty. So, and I feel like that's what it should see, that she's reaching out to something that's just a wall. Right.
All right. We're a little overdue for a break. So let's do that real quick. If you're watching live, hang in there. We'll be right back in a bit. If you're watching on YouTube later on, definitely like and share the videos if you like and want to share them. If you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe. We really like that as well. And check out the links below. You can get involved in the discussion earlier by getting in on the at the forums where we talk about all this stuff. And you can also find information on how to get in on the podcast that Professor Olson runs, where all the bigger decisions are getting made, which we, of course, then change later on. Hopefully they forget. So anyway, we'll be back in a bit.